My name is Misty. I'm a design team member with Stamp Anything. Welcome to another episode of Fannie Friday. Hi, welcome. So if you're watching this on the JollyFatElf channel and you're going, Misty, what is going on? I'm glad you asked. I'm about to tell you. First, I'm apologizing because they're mowing, but I gotta get this done. So here we go. So before we get into this though, I just want to give a huge thank you to Ann and Kevin for allowing me to use their platform along with mine to help spread the message of love over hate. In the US alone, over the last 4 months, we're only 4.5 months into the year, there have been over 100 pieces of legislature introduced into state government that are basically intended to erase the basic human rights of those who are in the LGBTQIA plus community. It has been disheartening. It has been frustrating. And I even had to talk to my therapist about it in my last therapy appointment because I was like, I don't know what I can do. Well, this is what I can do. I can use my voice. So thank you to Kevin and Ann for allowing me to use their platform. So I reached out to my friend Michael Trent and I was like, would you be interested in doing another Pride collab? Because if you didn't know, last year we did a collab where we did a project every Friday in the month of June. And when that was done, that's actually how I came to find Stamp Anything. Stamp Anything is one of the only, if not the only, stamp companies that has and exemplifies diversity. She has different ethnicities, she has different races, different holidays, different religions, different body sizes, just more diversity than I've ever found ever before in the card making, paper crafting community. And so when I found their stamps, I fell in love. And that's kind of my Stamp Anything story. So Michael and I had talked about getting a group together. I was trying to get a group together to do monthly collabs, and then I just had bad health, I had COVID, blah, 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 all the things. So when we were talking about starting another collab, I said, hey, would you be interested in doing a Pride collab where we post every Friday until through the end of Pride, which is the end of June? And he was like, sure. So we're going to attempt to post a Pride themed project every Friday starting today through the end of June, which is Pride month. So how that's going to work is for Fannie Friday, if Anne has released something that I can work into a Pride themed project, you are going to see that not only here, but also on my JollyFatElf channel. I have the platforms and I want to use my voice, and this is the way that I can do that. If I am doing a Pride themed card and I'm not using Stamp Anything products, those videos will go strictly on the JollyFatElf channel. So be sure that you're subscribed to both. I will have my links in the description box down below. I will also have links to Michael as well. So we've created a group called Equality for All Makers Collaboration, and we want to invite you to join us. You may not be able to do something every Friday until the end of June, but if you would like to, we would love to have you. Now, we do have a Facebook group, so you can reach out through my jollyfatElf@gmail.com. That's listed down below. You can message me on Facebook, or you can message me on Instagram. If you do any of those things, be sure to leave a comment letting me know. That way I can find your DM, etc. Because sometimes they like to hide them for forever. In fact, Kevin sent me a message through Instagram and it took me like a week and a half to even see it. So make sure that you let me know in the comments. So if you want to join us, we would love to have you. And it doesn't matter what you make. You can be a paper crafter, you can be a sewer, a knitter. Maybe you make cookies, maybe you play with clay, maybe you make, textured, beautiful paintings, whatever is your art form, whatever you make, even if you're a planner, etc. We would love to have you. So in the description box down below, I will have the hashtags that we will be using. Now, these are just kind of that equality for all hashtags. We're also going to be using Pride, all of the ones that you would use when you make this type of project. So going forward, the goal of the group is to continue exemplifying diversity, continue using our voice to make sure that people of color, people of different, races, people of different religions, women, etc., people in marginalized groups have someone on their side raising their voices for change. And that's really what all of this is about for me. It's really hard to sit back and watch my friends, being terrified that they're going to have, they're going to lose everything. And it's 2023. That shouldn't be anybody's burden or worry unless, they've lost their job or something, not because the legislature has decided to take the focus away from gun control and make gay people their targets. And that we are the ones that make that stop. So I hope you will join us. There will be more information coming soon after we finish this Pride collab. Again, I think we've talked about maybe doing like one project a month that is, somehow related to diversity, etc. So there is a thumbnail. I will have a link to my Google Drive where you can download the thumbnail if you'd like to use it with us. So yeah, that's a lot of information I just threw at you, and I apologize. So starting today, the 21st, through the end of June, every Friday you will see a Pride themed card from me. Now, if I use Stamp Anything products, it'll be a Fannie Friday. If I don't, it will go on the TheJollyFatElf channel. It really just is going to depend on when Anne releases and what there is for me to work with. But I'm going to do my best to have something that can go up on both channels because I want to use my platforms and my voice to spread the message of love over hate. And I hope that you will join us. So all of my information is linked down below. All of Michael's information is linked down below. I will link you to the Facebook group, and of course we'll have all of Stamp Anything's information down below. So let's talk about the card. In today's video, I am making a card using Alec. Alec is our electrician from the April release. Don't forget, if you're interested in picking up any of the April release, you should check out Stamp Club. That is linked in the description box down below, and on the inslate you will find a video where I describe or just like give you all the information that you'll ever need about Stamp Club. So yeah, I am really proud of this card. We're going to be doing some embossing with matte embossing powder. We're going to be making a really cool chrome background. I honestly think you're going to love it. So don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to subscribe on both channels, follow both social medias, etc. Again, everything is down in the description box down below. A huge thank you again to Anne and Kevin for giving me the opportunity to use their platform. And a huge thanks to Michael. Michael is a gay man himself, and he is always willing to help lend his voice to something like this, because as a paper crafting community, we are failing our people, and that needs to change. So, all right, enough jibber jabber. Let's head over to the craft table, and I'm going to share with you how I made this really fun, cool Pride themed card with Alec, our electrician. And so I'm going to start by making the background. Roy Jabev, we're making a rainbow. I will have the inks that I used linked down below. These are the ink cubes. And I am just doing a very messy blending. I'm not trying to go for anything that's opaque. I don't want it to look perfect. I want it to look perfectly imperfect. So I'm not fussing around with the blend or anything like that. I'm just using each color and then moving on to the next one. There will be some overlapping, so there will be a little bit of blending, but I'm not trying to make it super opaque. I'm not trying to make it super smooth. I want there to be some texture because this is going to be what we use as the background focal image of our card, not the focal image, the background of our card. So again, I will have all the supplies listed down below along with all the information. I know that it was a lot. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. And if you join us, we appreciate it. Like I said, I'm hoping to get it going to where we're doing something monthly, but we'll have to see what July brings. You never know. Hopefully, goodness to all of us. We need some goodness. We need some goodness in our lives. So once I get done with all of the colors, I'm going to bring in some chrome powder. Now, you can search this on Amazon. You just search nail art chrome powder, or of course you can pick it up off like AliExpress or Temu if you're not in, is it Temu? I don't even know. If you're not in a hurry. So yeah, it's really fun to play with. If you're a nail art person, maybe you already have some, but it's really fun to use and really fun to play with. So once I get done with that, I'm going to bring it in. Now the one I'm using has a green tint to it. So if I were to put this over like a white nail polish or a black nail polish, it would pull like a chromy green. So just remember that when you go to use it. So I'm just dipping my brush in and moving the powder around. I could have easily put down the stencil and done this through it, but I had another idea in mind, and I'll share with that in just a second. So once I get that done, you can see here how shiny it is in real life. Isn't that so cool? I love it so much. So I am going to bring in the stencil, and I'm going to bring in some paste. This is some paper glaze in a silver. I thought that would be really fun to do for the tools, and I'm just trying to figure out where I want this placed so I get the most amount of rainbow. So I'm bringing in the paste, and I'm just bringing in what is this called? Spatula? Yeah, probably, maybe. And I'm just filling it in. Now, I have messed around with this stencil quite a few times, and I have a couple of places where it went through. That's because I went back and forth. You're not really supposed to do that. Don't go back and forth. Just go one way. But I just wanted to make sure that I got all the coverage in the world. I love the silver against the backdrop of the rainbow. I just think it turned out so fun. I love it so very much. And you can see here, I'm going to show you in real time just how pretty it is. And I'm just bringing it in my kind of a pokey tool to clean off the excess of that. So once I've done that and I clean up my area, I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to die cut it. And I'm going to be using the matte dies. Again, everything will be linked down below. This is the stitch. So this is going to make a full size. It's 4.5 by 5.5. So we're going to play with some embossing powder, and it's going to be a matte embossing powder. And this stuff is so flippin' cool. I ran into a problem, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm just using the light bulb. I wanted something to break up that background. While I love that background, I think that background is so cool. That's a lot for a card that also needs a character and a sentiment. So I decided to bring this in, and I knew that I wanted to do this technique. So this works best on darker cardstock, but it will also work on lighter, but it just works the best on darker. So this is just some flat matte embossing powder. I believe this is from Wow, but you may be able to find it from other companies. And here I'm using a Swiffer cloth to get off the excess. But the cool thing about this matte is when you heat it, it becomes shiny like all embossing powder does, but then it dries down and it's just barely there. It's just barely there, and it's so flippin' cool. I love it so very much. It's a good way to add texture and depth to a focal panel without it having to be shiny and kind of in your face. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I really love how this panel turned out on the card. And you can see here, once it cools down, they just kind of disappear. So I'm going to bring in the smaller of the stitch rectangles. I didn't think to put down a piece of paper or clean my mat. So all of the chrome powder, or some of the chrome powder transferred to my mat, which I didn't clean before I ran that through. So now my matte paper has a little bit of chrome. So, spoiler alert, if you are going to do any kind of die cutting after you've used that chrome powder and you don't because I didn't put a fixative on it, just make sure that you put down, clean it up or put down a piece of paper. Okay, we're going to color Mr. Alec. I'm using a new to me skin color. I haven't used this before. Did I write them down? Yes, I did. I'm using E35, 15, 13, and 11. So it gave him a bit more of a peachy skin tone rather than a really light kind of yellow skinned. He's more pink than yellow. He's more cool tone than yellow. So I'm just making sure that the darkest parts are really, really dark. This is a different way for coloring for me. You guys know I try to make it all even, but I really had fun with this. And rather than using R20 for a blush, I brought in some R22 for it. But I just really love this skin tone. This is definitely one I'll use again in the future. Again, it's a bit more cool tone, bit more peachy. And I really, really like how it looked, especially when we get to his hair. Oh, chef's kiss. I love it. So like I said, I had to bring in R22 because R20 was not doing anything. And I just color his tongue with the same one. I considered freckles, especially after I did the hair, but I was like, no, Misty, just let it go. So I'm using the E35, which is the darkest on the darkest area, and then adding in the rest. I'm just doing like a little line, just trying to bring it and pull the color out. And then once we've done that, we're going to move on to his hair. So I wanted his hair to be curly. I did a test run where I was trying to make it straight. I just didn't like the way it looked. So I am dotting. That's how I like to do my curls. So I will have the shades down below, but it's E59, 49, 29, 57, 55. It's a lot of markers and a lot of cool tone. There's some cool tones, but there's also some really warm tones too. And again, I just love the way that looks. And I also made sure to leave just a little hint of white. But this is my go-to way to do curls. I could have gone back over it with like a colored pencil or something and added actual ringlets, but while he is a focal point of the card, I really want the sentiment in the background to be the star of the show. So you'll see in a minute when I color his clothes very neutral because while I want him there, and I think it's important to represent, there's always these stereotypes, etc., about, people on the rainbow. I call it the rainbow spectrum because sometimes I don't say all the letters and I feel awful. So the rainbow spectrum, there's so many stereotypes about how they act, how they dress, etc. But I mean, they're just normal humans. And I don't understand why there's been so much backlash against that community. What someone else does shouldn't be your business. And I don't believe that you should use, your religion to cover up your bigotry. I just don't think that's how it should happen. I mean, we have separation of church and state for a reason. And there's no agenda. There's no gay agenda. The only gay agenda is, hey, let me live my life the way everybody else gets to live theirs. So I could honestly talk to you for about an hour and times 100 about how frustrating it is. It really is frustrating. And I grew up in a very small town and my friend was out and it was hard on him. It's probably still hard on him. I've tried to get him to move hundreds of times, but it's just like, it's just people just want to live their lives and they have to come out over and over and over again. It's not like, and they shouldn't even have to come out. It shouldn't even be that big of a deal. And I saw, someone shared a meme about we, us, about how that's what demons call themselves. And I'm like, we use we and us in all sorts of literature. Then we're all demons, right? Because I was talking to Rob about it, who's my husband. I was like, is that when you conjugate? And he's like, no, it's, it's some fancy word. He's a proofreader. But I was just like, good Lord, people, can we just, all get along, just love everyone, just stop it. We have other things to focus about rather than if drag queens are reading to children. How about we focus on keeping them safe in schools? But that's another tangent. I could go on for a couple of hours. So I used some E80s to color his pants. And then I used some neutral grays to color his shirt and his shoes. So this is a card base that measures 4¼ by 5.5. And again, this covers the entire thing. I was playing with layout to see if I wanted to do a portrait card or a landscape card. And I decided a portrait card is the way to go. So I'm going to bring in some score tape, tear and tape, score tape. You could use liquid glue. We just need something that's very, very adhesive and sticky that will stick to this background because it has the chrome powder, but it also has this kind of texture glaze. And I'm going to get that adhered down. And then I'm going to bring in Alec. And you can see there's a little bit of that green on the background that's supposed to be matte. But that's on me. That is on me. You could probably use a fixative if you were really serious about it. Or again, just, clean off your mat or whatever. So once I get the sentiment adhered, I'm going to bring in a couple of stickers. So I used some stickers last year on the Pride theme cards that I had, and I had tons of leftover, and I love these two. You'll see it better in the close-up. So I'm going to get our sentiment adhered. I used the ones about thanks a lot. No. Can do it. If you can dream it, you can do it. And Anne is she is bae when it comes to puns. She really, really is. So friends, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate you. Again, all of the information that I word vomited at the beginning will be in the description box below. Thank you so much for all of your support. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next week for another video. Bye for now.